Former President Donald J. Trump convicted on 34 counts. That and more.
I don't need recognition. I'm on a mission. I'm paying dues. I'm in position. I'm staying up. It's getting late. You're doing good. I'm doing great. Recognition. I'm on a mission. I'm paying dues. I'm in position. I'm staying up. It's getting late. You're doing good. I'm doing great.
Hey everybody, it's May 31st of 2024. I'm your host, Maddie, and you're listening to Political Palette. Hope everybody has had a great week. Well, we got some exciting and some not so exciting news to get into today.
Trump has a frowned expression on his face as the verdict reading is completed. He is not moving.
But we're going to start things off hot off the press with the newest news of the hour. Former President Donald J. Trump was convicted on 34 counts in a federal court in New York. A case that has captivated the nation and sparked heated debates about justice and accountability at the highest levels of government. The case against Trump centers on hush money payments made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels and former Playboy model Karen McDowell. These payments, amounting to significant sums, were intended to silence allegations of affairs and protect Trump's 2016 presidential campaign from potential scandals. The prosecution argued that these payments were part of a broader scheme to influence the election by concealing damaging information from the public. Central to the prosecution's case was the testimony of Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal lawyer and fixer. Cohen testified that Trump directed him to arrange the payments and subsequently reimburse him through falsified business records. According to Cohen, these records were designed to conceal the true nature of the transactions and avoid scrutiny. The prosecution also presented substantial circumstantial evidence to corroborate Cohen's claims, suggesting that Trump was fully aware of and actively participated in the scheme. The defense, however, mounted a vigorous challenge to the prosecution's narrative. They focused heavily on discrediting Cohen, pointing out his history of lying and self-serving behavior. Cohen, who has already served time in prison for his involvement in these schemes, was portrayed as an unreliable witness with a vested interest in implicating Trump. The defense argued that Cohen acted independently and that Trump was merely following his lawyer's advice without understanding the illegal implications of the actions taken. Another key aspect of the defense's strategy was to highlight the role of Alan Weisselberg, the Trump Organization's CFO. Weisselberg was deeply involved in the financial operations of the organization and played a significant role in orchestrating the transactions in question. The defense suggested that any wrongdoing was orchestrated by Cohen and Weisselberg, with Trump being an unwitting participant. This line of argument aimed to create reasonable doubt about Trump's direct involvement and knowledge of the criminal aspects of the scheme. The trial featured testimony from several other key witnesses, including David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer. Pecker testified about his role in the so-called catch-and-kill practice, where the tabloid would purchase exclusive rights to stories to prevent them from being public. Pecker's testimony aimed to demonstrate a broader pattern of behavior intended to protect Trump from damaging allegations, further supporting the prosecution's case that the payments were part of a larger scheme. Despite the compelling evidence presented by the prosecution, the outcome of the trial was far from certain. Trump's legal team worked diligently to sow doubt among the jurors, emphasizing inconsistencies in the testimonies and the motivations of key witnesses. The defense's goal was to convince at least one juror that there was reasonable doubt about Trump's culpability, which would result in a hung jury and potentially derail the prosecution's case. I hold firmly to the belief that no one is above the law, including Donald Trump. This case is a critical test of our legal system's ability to hold powerful individuals accountable for their actions. The charges against Trump are serious, involving a concerted effort to manipulate the electoral process and deceive the public. Such actions, if proven, strike at the very heart of our democratic institutions and must be addressed with the full force of the law. However, despite the gravity of the charges, I remain skeptical that Trump will face significant jail time. Given his status as a former president and the nature of the crimes, it is more likely he will receive a non-custodial sentence, such as probation. This outcome would not be unprecedented, as high-profile individuals often receive more lenient sentences for white-collar crimes. Nonetheless, it is crucial that the legal process demonstrates that accountability applies to everyone, regardless of their position or influence. The implications of this case far extend beyond the courtroom. It serves as a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and integrity in our political system. The efforts to silence Daniels and McDowell were not just about protecting Trump's personal reputation. They were about manipulating the electorate and undermining the democratic process. Such behavior cannot be tolerated, and the legal system must act decisively to deter similar actions in the future. In conclusion, the trial of Donald Trump on charges of falsifying business records is a landmark case with profound implications for justice and democracy in America. The evidence presented by the prosecution paints a damning picture of deliberate deceit and electoral manipulation. While the defense has raised significant challenges to this narrative, the principle that no one is above the law must prevail. Whether or not Trump serves jail time, the key takeaway is that accountability is essential to the health of our democracy. And as we continue to follow the case, we must remain vigilant in upholding the standards of justice and ensuring that our leaders are held to the highest ethical standards. The outcome of this trial would undoubtedly shape the public perception of justice and the rule of law in years to come. Even if something like this had happened to Joe Biden and it was on fair grounds, I would not be complaining. I feel like anybody in any position of power should be held accountable to the fullest extent possible. If you did something illegal, yeah, you should be locked up. That's how the system's designed. That's how it should work. And accountability really needs to apply to government more, especially elected officials in the House and Senate who are basically being bribed by these huge companies. But no, they call it lobbying. Just another word for corruption. Now, let's get into some jaw-dropping news that Donald Trump raised a whopping, wait for it, $52.8 million within just 24 hours of his conviction. What the hell does this mean? Let's break it down. First off, can we just pause and acknowledge the sheer insanity of this situation? Trump gets convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records, and instead of his support drying up, he rakes in more cash than most of us will ever see in a lifetime. It's mind-boggling, and quite frankly, a little infuriating. This incredible fundraising feat tells us a few things, and number one, Trump's base is rock solid. These folks are die-hard supporters who view his legal troubles as not as a liability, but as a badge of honor. They genuinely believe he's being persecuted by a biased system, and they're damn well ready to open up their wallets to prove it. Trump's campaign has masterfully spun his legal woes into a narrative of martyrdom. They've framed these incidents as part of a grand conspiracy to take him down, and his supporters are eating it up. This us versus them mentality has always been a powerful tool in Trump's arsenal, and it's clearly paying off big time. Now let's talk about the role of the mega donors. Trump isn't just getting small donor donations from his everyday supporters. He's also pulling in huge sums from wealthy backers who see him as their champion. Events like the fundraiser at John Paulson's Palm Beach mansion are raking in serious cash. These billionaires are pissed at Biden's policies and are betting big on Trump to reverse them. It's a hell of a financial boost that most politicians can only dream of. But this raises some serious questions. What does it say about our political system when a convicted felon can pull in this kind of money so damn quickly? Are we really okay with the idea that legal troubles can be turned into lucrative fundraising opportunities? This is a stark reminder of how deeply polarized and frankly messed up our current political climate is. Trump's fundraising haul is also a wake-up call to the Republican Party. Despite his legal issues, he's showing that he still commands enormous influence and resources. This kind of financial muscle will undoubtedly give him a significant edge in the 2024 election, making him a force to be reckoned with no matter how much the establishment might wish otherwise. And in conclusion, Trump's ability to raise $52.8 million in 24 hours post-conviction is a testament to his enduring appeal and the strategic brilliance of his campaign. It highlights the fierce loyalty of his supporters and their willingness to throw money at what they see as a righteous cause. It's a damn powerful statement about where we are as a country and what lies ahead in the political arena. As we move forward, it's crucial to keep an eye on how this financial firepower will shape the 2024 race and the broader implications to our democracy. Now let's get into some pretty funny news that happened today. President Biden's smirk in reaction to the Trump's conviction. Yeah, you heard me right. Biden, the usually composed and diplomatic leader, couldn't help but flash a damn smirk when asked about Trump's recent legal woes. What does a smirk signify? For starters, it's a clear indication of Biden's quiet confidence in the justice system. Despite the seriousness of Trump's conviction on 34 counts, Biden's reaction seemed to be a mix of validation and amusement at the unfolding drama. It's almost as if Biden's saying, "Told you so," without uttering a single word. This moment also underscores the deep political divide in our country. To Trump supporters, this might look like Biden gloating, which could further entrench their loyalty to Trump. To Biden supporters, it's a sign that justice is catching up with those who have skirted the law for too long. It's a polarizing reaction that perfectly encapsulates the current political climate. But let's not forget on the context here. Biden's smirk comes on the heels of Trump's astonishing $52.8 million fundraising haul. That's a hell of a lot of money, and it shows how powerful Trump's influence remains. Biden's aware of this and might see the conviction as a win for the rule of law, but he also knows that the battle is far from over. This smirk is more than just a facial expression. It's a reflection of Biden's belief in accountability and the principle that nobody is above the law. Yet it also highlights the ongoing political chess game where every move is scrutinized. Now, I wanted to do a little piece here on if Trump supporters or even Biden supporters are delusional, or is there more to the story? But first off, let's be clear. Calling anyone delusional can come off as pretty damn harsh. But let's look at why Trump supporters believe so fervently in their cause, because many see him as a hero fighting against a corrupt establishment. They think the legal troubles he faces are politically motivated attacks from the deep state. Now, this belief isn't pulled out of thin air. There's a whole media ecosystem that feeds into this narrative, reinforcing the idea that Trump is a victim of a biased system. This creates an echo chamber where alternative viewpoints are shut out, making his supporters damn sure they're in the right. Many of these supporters feel left behind by economic changes and cultural shifts. To them, Trump's promises to restore America's greatness resonate deeply. They see him as a bulldozer plowing through the political correctness and bureaucratic nonsense that they think are holding the country back. But let's not kid ourselves. Misinformation plays a hell of a role here too. Social media is flooded with false or exaggerated claims, and when you're bombarded with this stuff daily, it's easy to get sucked in. It's not just blind loyalty, it's loyalty fueled by a consistent stream of news that fits their worldview. Are they delusional, though? Hell, it's complicated. While some beliefs might be out of touch with reality, dismissing all Trump supporters as delusional ignores the genuine frustrations and concerns driving their support. They feel threatened by rapid changes and see Trump as their champion. In the end, labeling them all as delusional doesn't help bridge the divide. Instead, understanding why they feel this way is crucial. By acknowledging their concerns, we could start to move to a more productive conversation about the future of our country. Now, the burning question that everybody has to ask is what happens if Trump goes to jail and loses the 2024 election? Well, first off, the sight of a former president behind bars would be unprecedented and pretty damn shocking. Legally, Trump would have to navigate a series of appeals, but assuming he exhausts those options and ends up serving time, it would send a powerful message about accountability. This would undoubtedly polarize the nation further, with his supporters seeing it as a miscarriage of justice, while his critics would view it as a long overdue consequences for his actions. Politically, if Trump loses the election, the Republican Party would face a hell of a crossroads. They'd need to decide whether to double down on Trump's brand of politics or pivot to a new direction. This could lead to intense internal conflicts and a reevaluation of the party's future. Trump's influence would likely persist, potentially from behind bars, as he continues to rally his base and criticize the new administration. For the Democrats, a Trump loss combined with his imprisonment might provide short-term validation, but it wouldn't erase the deep divisions in the country. Biden or the new Democratic president would need to address these divides and focus on healing and unity, while also pushing forward their legislative agenda. Internationally, America's image would definitely take a hit. Allies and adversaries alike would be watching closely, and the U.S. would need to work hard on maintaining its global standing. The sight of a former president in jail would be a stark symbol of the nation's internal turmoil, affecting diplomatic relations and perceptions abroad. But in conclusion, a scenario where Trump goes to jail and loses the election would be a systemic event with far-reaching consequences for the legal, political, and social fabric of the United States. It would challenge the country to reckon with its values, its divisions, and its future direction. Now, as we conclude this episode, I'd like to bring in a little bit of my personal opinion why I think Trump will most likely lose against Biden in the 2024 election. As Trump's legal issues are piling up and his core supporters remain loyal, the broader population is getting tired of the constant scandals. Swing voters, particularly suburban women and independents, are distancing themselves from the chaos associated with Trump. Things like abortion rights, etc., all play a role in this shift. Biden, despite his challenges, offers a semblance of stability. Many voters remember the calm after the storm that was Trump's presidency. Biden's administration has made strides in economic recovery post-pandemic, and while inflation remains an issue, the Biden camp can argue that they are steering the ship through turbulent waters better than Trump could. Demographically, Biden has an edge. Younger voters, minorities, and urban populations are more likely to lean Democratic. These groups were crucial in Biden's 2020 victory and are projected to maintain or even increase their support. Trump's appeal to these groups have been minimal, and his divisive rhetoric continues to alienate them. Moreover, Trump's focus on the 2020 election fraud claims does him no favors. Voters are looking forward, not backward. And Biden's campaign can effectively argue that Trump's obsession with past grievances is a distraction from the real issues facing the country. Within the Republican Party, there's also a growing desire to move past Trump. Figures like Ron DeSantis and others represent a new direction that some Republicans believe is necessary to win back moderates and independents. In contrast, Biden's team is unified and prepared. They will highlight their achievements, contrast them with Trump's chaotic tenure, and emphasize a vision for the future. In conclusion, while Trump will have a fervent base, the combination of legal woes, demographic disadvantages, and the exhaustion of his divisive politics make it likely that Biden will come out on top in 2024. This is all subject to my opinion, though, and who knows really what's going to happen at the end of the day. But if we look at the data and statistics, we can see who will more than likely win. And I think it's pretty clear to most voters and people who even look a little bit into politics that Trump isn't necessarily a candidate that's going to be able to get the independent voters and the voters who are on the fence about who exactly to vote for. Because if you're one of those voters, you're more likely to be shifted towards someone who's more stable, not as divisive and drama ridden as a guy like Trump is. So Trump has shown a lot of weakness in terms of getting independent supporters, and that's a real problem. As we wrap up this episode of Political Palette, I want to thank you all for listening to me on episode 2. It is Friday, May 31st. I'm Maddie, and if you'd like to go ahead and send in a voice note, you can go to speakpipe.com/politicalpalette, send a voice note up to 90 seconds in length, and I might just play it here on the show and answer your questions. Thank you for listening. Make sure to rate and review the podcast and subscribe and share to your friends. Have a great week.